Today we're looking at goalkeeper pairings that you should consider for your FPL team for the start of the season. I'm joined today by Holly Shand, and today we're going to get stuck into a few different pairings. We've got 4 nice pairings to kick us off, and towards the end of the video we're going to get Holly to show us who she's starting the season with.
Yeah, so the first pairing I've identified I think will probably be the most popular pairing this season, and it's David Raya from Brentford and Robert Sanchez from Brighton, 2 4.5 million goalkeepers, and their fixtures dovetail really, really nicely. And this pair kept 19 clean sheets between them last season. So if we look at the opening 8 fixtures, and I'm talking about the opening 8 because I imagine most managers will have played their first wildcard by the end of game week 8. They face 3 promoted teams in there between them, Fulham twice in there, Bournemouth, and also Leeds United, which is another really great fixture, and only 1 top half team in the schedule as well, which is Leicester in game week 1. So really nice pairing there. I think it's got great potential.
Yeah, and I see there they've got some really nice home fixtures as well throughout that. You know, I'm just looking at Hub's fixture ticker here, and as you say, the dovetail's perfect. Yeah, I'm already sold. I don't know what you're going to follow it with. I don't know who's actually going to make me not pick them now. Obviously, the one thing I suppose, just to point it out early in the video, is a lot of people will probably be going for 1.5 million goalkeeper or even more expensive this season. So maybe the goalkeeper pairings are something that won't interest some, but definitely something to consider, and it's been a big feature in sort of FPL strategy over the last years. Who is the next pair we're looking at?
David Raya features quite a lot in here, and he comes in the second pairing, as well as Dean Henderson, who is at Nottingham Forest this season. And we've seen, you know, how good Henderson can be in previous seasons. When he was at Sheffield United back in 1920, he kept 13 clean sheets that season, which is really solid numbers. So again, a really nice set of fixtures in here. 3 promoted teams in there, Fulham twice, once again, and Bournemouth as well. And just 1 tricky fixture in game week 2. I've identified home to Bournemouth being the one to go for there. But the reason I really like this pair is that they've both got high save percentage potential. In terms of last season's FPL stats, David Raya was actually ranked second for save percentage, 76.8% of shots that he faced, he saved, which is, you know, a really good figure in the Premier League right now. So there's clean sheet potential from these 2, but also those save points, which are so crucial.
And I suppose whenever like these players do play in lower table sides that will face a lot of shots and, as you say, save quite a lot of them, you know, that's where maybe if they do keep the clean sheet, bonus points are on the table. Whereas maybe whenever the likes of an Ederson keeps a clean sheet, it's probably going to be a 6-pointer.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. They've got such a high ceiling in terms of their points. And then, you know, if they do manage to keep the clean sheet and rack up a few save points, they're more than likely going to be in the points as well. And, you know, for teams like Nottingham Forest and Brentford, they're maybe not the most high scoring teams. You know, if it is a 1-0 win with a clean sheet, then that likelihood for bonus is going to increase.
We've got another couple of pairings there featuring that man Henderson. Do you want to talk about the first one?
Yes, so the next one is Meslier and Henderson. So the reason I like this is I think that Leeds United can be much improved under Jesse Marsch this season. And Meslier was actually top for saves last campaign with 143 saves. So again, we've got high potential for those save points, even if the clean sheets are a little bit more difficult to track. So the fixture schedule there, 3 promoted teams in there. We get that game week 6 to game week 8, Bournemouth, Forest, Fulham at home on the bounce, which is a lovely run of fixtures. And only 1 top half team from last season they're facing these opening 8 game weeks, and that's Brighton in game week 4. So it's probably the easiest schedule that I'm going to show you of all out of these pairings that we're looking at today.
I'm going to jump in very, very quickly and just let everyone know that there's a massive offer on at Hub at the minute. You can win your mini league or you'll get your money back, and there's also a 50% off limited time offer. So go and check it out. Use the link in the description. I'll get paid and be your best friend forever and give you lots of FPL advice throughout the season. So, Holly, we've one more pairing, and then we're going to talk about a few other bits and bobs. It also involves Henderson, that main man.
Yeah, and it's Jordan Pickford that's joining him this time. Now, when it comes to clean sheet potential, probably they're not the most appetising pairing on paper. However, we do have to think about the strength of the fixtures, and that's where we have to compromise on quality of goalkeeper here. But Pickford was third for bonus points last season, so there is a bit of potential there. And this pair have 3 promoted teams in their first 8 in Forest, Bournemouth and Fulham, all at home as well. And they don't face a single team in this schedule that finished in the top half of the season last campaign. So that's where we're looking at these two in terms of their potential for fantasy points.
Now, all those pairings cost 9 million. As we mentioned, that 9 million might be spent on the likes of a Mendy and a 4 million dud. Just something for people to remember is make sure you pick a dud from a team you're not likely to want 3 outfielders from, or you'll block yourself. But whenever we stretch to 9.5, which seems maybe a little counterintuitive and something people wouldn't do, but there were a couple of 9.5 million pairings that you did put together.
Yeah, so the first one I've come up with here is Sanchez and Martinez, and this pair kept 22 clean sheets between them combined last season. And when you look at the fact that the likes of Alisson and Edison, the highest scoring goalkeepers in the Premier League last season, keeping 20 clean sheets between them, you can see the price potential that you're kind of going to get a similar sort of thing for your 9.5 million. The trouble is actually managing to pick the right goalkeeper for the right fixture to, capitalise on all of those clean sheets. But again, the schedule looks really nice with 3 promoted teams in there, Bournemouth twice and Fulham, unfortunately all away from home. 1 top half team in there as well in Leicester. So I really like the look of this schedule, and it is going to be a tough sell when you can get the likes of Edison and a 4 million dud. However, you could end up with more clean sheets across the season if you did manage to hit it right.
And you're not blocking a premium slot. That's the thing with Chelsea, I suppose. Edward or Mendy seems like such a foregone conclusion for a lot of teams, but people also want Chilwell, they also want Reece James to go big at the back. And then if there is a premium sort of, or not even premium, if there's just a Chelsea forward or midfielder that comes kind of good or shows some sort of early form, people could be left with a decision where do you keep the goalkeeper or do you get rid of one of the defenders who are obviously so attacking and we know what they can do. So, there are considerations whenever you do bring in a premium goalkeeper, and it's not something many of us have been faced with in the past because it's just not really a done thing. There's one last 9.5 million pairing to discuss, because if we're not discussing it in this video, when are we going to talk about it? And it's that man Raya again, this time up with someone a bit different.
Yeah, so I've chosen Nick Pope here. I am guessing that Nick Pope is going to be first choice at Newcastle United. Obviously, they've spent big money on him. This pair managed 17 clean sheets combined last season, and that's with Raya missing a lot of the season, a huge chunk with injury. Nick Pope, again, really nice player when it comes to that save potential and getting those save points. He was 5th in terms of his save percentage last season, 73.6%. And another nice schedule in here. 3 promoted teams once again, Fulham, Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest in that schedule. And then 1 top half team from last season again as well. So I really do like the look of this set of fixtures for those two.
Something just to talk about, I suppose, is just whether or not, I mentioned it briefly in the video at the start, about how viable maybe a rotation is going to be this season or how much it makes sense. There's a couple of reasons around that with the World Cup, how the season's looking, and with the prices of the goalkeepers. Do you want to talk about that briefly before we wrap up?
Yeah, so normally we're choosing these rotations so that we can hold 2 goalkeepers over a longer period of time, but we have to use our first wildcard before game week 16. Most of us will have used it by the end of game week 8. So that need to change up your goalkeeper. You're going to get that opportunity quite early in the season. And then we look at the fixture schedule, the likes of Brighton and Brentford, mid-table teams that have got goalkeepers that are capable of getting saves, that have got nice fixtures for that clean sheet potential as well, to go for the 4.5 million and even bringing in their 4 million back up from their respective teams to spend 8.5 million and know that 8 game weeks down the line when their fixtures turn, or maybe even sooner if you're playing early wildcard, you can change that up. We're not committed to these goalkeepers for as long as we have been in previous seasons. So in terms of minimising the risk by having 2 that rotate, you're not going to be able to capitalise on as much on that as you would have done in a traditional Premier League season.
So Holly, we've talked about all these goalkeeper pairings and lots of the strategy behind it. Who are your two goalkeepers to start the season in your first draft anyway?
Well, I'm not deviating from my tradition, which is to spend just 8.5 million in this category. And I can't look beyond Brentford's David Raya. I've got his backup in as well. The only Brentford goalkeeper listed as well as Raya was Balcom. So he's in. I'm not sure whether he's second choice or not yet. He did get 45 minutes in a pre-season friendly, so that's something to keep an eye on. But that's the combo. Raya, in terms of being, second for save percentage last season, he could have had a massive season if it wasn't for the injury last campaign, and I can really see him stepping up in the early parts of this season and potentially, keeping 3 to 4 clean sheets in those opening 8 fixtures for Brentford.
Has there been any transfer business that's happened so far that's made you maybe look at any goalkeepers different? I know Leeds, I think they've recruited quite smartly, albeit with a lot of young players, and it might take a while for us to see an impact on that in the first team. Chelsea, on the other hand, there's been a bit of an exodus, and I'm actually really worried about Mendy. I think he was in my first draft, but I'm worried if they don't replace the likes of Rudiger, Christensen, and whoever else who ends up going, because there's lots of them leaving. I'm just, unless they make some big signings, I'm kind of skeptical, and I think maybe going budget makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same, exactly like you've mentioned with Mendy as well. The fact that he takes up a third Chelsea slot, and we have seen that Chelsea defence, certainly towards the back end of last season, were prone to individual errors, and I can only see them increasing once Rudiger's gone, because he was such an integral part of that defence. So that's enough to put me off for Chelsea and go with Mendy. And the opening fixtures aren't that attractive. We've got a couple of tough fixtures in there. I think it's easier to go and spend 8.5 million or 9 million on a rotation pair than to go Mendy and a 4 million backup.
Well guys, I hope you've had your goalkeeper questions answered. Thank you so much for Holly for helping us out. Make sure you check out the link in the description for that 50% off on Hub. It's a limited time offer, and you can try your best to win your mini league, and if you don't, you're going to get your money back. T's and C's do apply. Check them out. Thank you for watching. See you next time.